So welcome to our next edition of EduTogether at Home. This is Aryeh Eisenberg, the CEO and founder of EduTogether. We are happy to have you all with us again. And I'm really happy to introduce today's special guest, Rabbi Jeremy Bruce. Rabbi Bruce is the high school principal of the Stark High School at Fuchs Mizrachi in Cleveland, Ohio. And Rabbi Bruce, we are so happy to have you with us today. Thank you for making the time to talk with us.
Great to be here.
Fuchs Mizrachi is a school that I've really come to know and have been working with really enjoyably for several years now. I'm sure that this latest Corona crisis has thrown you guys for a little bit of a challenge, just like every other school in the United States and maybe even around the world. Can you maybe describe for us when you've heard for the first time that there was a chance that school might have to close and that learning might have to be transferred online? What was your first reaction, and what did you guys start to do to get ready for this transition?
So as you can imagine, we were all in a little bit of a daze. This sort of process of potentially closing started dawning on us, the week or so before Purim, and we could see that this really might happen, and this might be quite serious. And as it happens, the Ohio governor shut all the schools in the state on March 12th, which was actually quite a bit earlier than many other places around the country. So he was actually very proactive. Well, what we did was actually we went straight into planning. We started talking to our academic leadership team about what online learning would look like, and then we started having some conversations with our faculty. I'm very pleased to say we were actually quite prepared for this. We were able to do some pre-planning, we were able to put some things into place, and to get everyone ready for shifting very quickly into a totally online environment.
What would you say was the greatest challenge for both the administration and the faculty in this shift?
I think it's really about a complete change in how we educate. There's a very big difference between in-person, in-classroom education and total online education. That's significant change for everyone. So there were the technical challenges, making sure that we all had the resources, both the programs such as Zoom set up. Initially, we thought we might go with a Google program, and then very quickly realized that at the time, I think Google has now caught up a little bit. But at the time,
probably.
Zoom was a lot more robust and could do more of what we were looking for. Let's make sure that the students all had computers. We've actually got many Chromebooks at the school. We need to make sure they had them, they were updated and ready to go. And we had to start thinking about what would an online schedule look like. And the key question for us was, at the beginning, how much synchronous and how much asynchronous learning was going to work. And the first week or so was really a very much trial and error. Initially, we sided, we came down on the side of more synchronous learning, and very quickly we heard from the feedback that we sent out surveys to both faculty, parents, and to students, and we heard back quite quickly that the being online all day was very, very difficult. It was very
definitely a challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
So then we started to adapt, but really initially it was like, how do we transfer our entire school day and everything that comes with it onto an online platform?
No easy task. I'm sure we can all agree now. Fuchs as a school has been known for its educational technology program and for using technology in education. That's certainly something you guys are known for doing very well. In working with your school's technology staff and your IT people, what do you think, was there something that the school, because of the school's previous efforts, something that made this process just much easier and much smoother?
Yeah, well, we use two online programs extensively to manage learning throughout the year. One is our learning management system, Schoology, and one is PowerSchool, and that's both those programs are relatively common. But we use them pretty extensively, which meant that the notion of, posting assignments, resources, hosting discussions, collaboration was pretty familiar to our faculty.
Okay.
So it wasn't a dramatic break between what we had been doing, what we are doing. As you know, I mean, a small number of our classes are actually online, have been online every year. And that varies from year to year depending on what we offer. And we do try and offer a wide range of courses for our kids. Obviously, we have the solid Judaic courses, Gemara, Talmud, Jewish ethics, and various other enrichments Judaically. And then we have the full range of general studies options. And sometimes there are smaller classes that need to be serviced. And the easiest way to do that is to do that online.
So you guys weren't strangers to the idea of online learning. It was more of just
No,
having
not at all.
bandwidth.
Actually, we over the years we've had a few classes like this, and we'd learn well how to manage that process.
That's important. That's great. It's interesting. We talk about the teachers, and obviously they've been an important, essential part of this journey. And we talk about the students, and I think everybody kind of just assumes, oh, the students are 21st century students and 21st century learners, so they must be okay with all of this. But were there any student issues? Did you mentioned the asynchronous versus the synchronous, but how did the students as a whole relate to this transfer of learning to the online environment? Did you notice any widespread issues, or did the students take to it pretty quickly?
In the high school, I think it's been incredible. The students have been so patient, understanding, collaborative, cooperative, engaged. It's been amazing. I keep on, we have a once a week sikha where we all come together for announcements and we learn Torah together. I've been saying every week, I keep on hearing from the faculty just how well, each of you are doing. Now, of course, that doesn't mean to say this is not a challenge. It's a huge challenge. It's a huge challenge for everyone. At the best of times, the challenge in education is how do we engage our young people? How do we build relationships with them? How do we excite them and allow them to become passionate about what we're doing? It is so much more difficult doing that remotely. And then, of course, we have the perennial challenge, both in the classroom, but how much more so online, of the ease of distraction.
I knew where this was going right away, Rabbi Bruce. I knew. Yeah, I mean that's a tough one to deal with. I think all of our global colleagues are feeling that issue as well. So, how did you guys deal with it?
Right. I mean, I think for us the important thing is, first of all, I think that luckily for us this happened in March. It didn't happen at the beginning of the school year. So we build up relationships with our students. We know them well. We were able to, we had that rapport with them, and therefore shifting to online learning was challenging, but wasn't difficult. We're obviously concerned about bringing in, our new 9th grade and thinking about how do we build those relationships with them. Now, the truth is that we have our staff really teaches both in the junior high and in the high school, so we have a lot of overlap. But for many of us who are only high school teachers, we don't know the 8th grade, incoming 9th grade particularly well. And so we've got to really think about how do we appropriately build those relationships with our new students, our incoming students, even if we have to have at least some of our classes next semester online. Probably not, but that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I mean it's just such an unknown right now, and I think it's something that every school out there is thinking of. What happens? Hopefully, we're back in September, but what happens if we're not? And you bring up a great point about that incoming ninth grade class. How do we get to know them? Like you said, how do we make sure that their needs are being met because we don't have those prior relationships? I know one of the advantages you guys have as a K through 12 school is that, like you mentioned, you do have that overlap between junior high and high school. I'm sure that helps. But, are there any programs that you guys are either doing already or planning to do virtually to kind of get to know the eighth graders and to
Yeah.
bring them in?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a few informal programs. We couldn't have our traditional Purim celebration in person because literally Purim was the cutoff, and we decided as a school
Right.
we had to go into quarantine. So we've done some fun things online, using programs like Kahoot, various video sharing things with each other, a little more lighthearted to build that camaraderie
Sure.
between us and the students. And we'll certainly continue to do that. On the other hand, I think, our preference is to find socially distant, appropriate ways to, meet in person if we can. And I think at the moment, the world, certainly in Israel, but even in America, the world is moving towards, okay, how can we do this? How can we get people together in the same physical space safely and appropriately? And obviously, we're working towards that, as a country, as a state,
Sure.
But that's our hope, that we do find a way to adapt our physical space to make it safe for our students and for our faculty and for everyone who's in school.
Well, we're definitely with you in that hope too. I think everybody has the same the same hope out there, and hopefully that'll happen. So talk to me about the other side of things. Those are the incoming ninth graders. What is your school's graduation going to look like this year? I know that's something a lot of people are grappling with right now.
Yeah, that was that's a tremendous challenge. We have some really disappointed seniors. For the senior year, the last few weeks, the second semester of senior year is full of senior trip, various ending events. Obviously, graduation. We have a senior night, which is a separate event. All of those things, which are tremendously important, closed sikum events, as it were, for these students, really can't happen the way they have in the past. And that's been difficult. It's been really, really challenging to work out, to have a balance between completely reinventing this end of school experience whilst being very respectful and adhering to the social distancing norms and that we have to, obviously. So one of the things we did, which was an amazing success actually, was after back and forward, trying to look at various ways of doing a graduation in person, we actually had the idea of renting an outdoor movie theater, a drive-in movie theater, and having graduation there.
I don't know what's more impressive, the fact that you still have a drive-in movie theater or the fact that you came up with the idea. That's very cool. I like that a lot.
But in the end, there was some concerns from people involved in the health field that we wouldn't, even in the cars, if people get out of the cars, and we wouldn't be able to maintain appropriate distance. So we moved on from that idea. Here's what we did. I'll explain one event, but also the process really. The one event that we did do, which was tremendously successful, was this year for the first time we ordered those lawn signs. Many schools do them, but we hadn't done them in the past. And what we did, we arranged with the parents that a group of faculty, many of the faculty who had taught the 12th grade, and either now or in the past, gathered together in a car parade, and essentially we delivered each of these lawn signs and then applauded and honked and sang and just generally celebrated these kids, and they would come out the house and they would take some photos, appropriately distant, and just they saw all their teachers there, had come in a long line of cars to celebrate their graduation.
That's really nice. That's great. That's fantastic.
Right. The feedback we got from that was really, really positive. The students felt personally acknowledged and cared for, and that you know, our Rebbeim and our teachers all came out to celebrate these wonderful young people.
Good for you guys. That's awesome.
But in general, I say in general, what we're trying to do is keep you know, in close communication with the seniors and their parents to be working out what we can do and what we can't do. They actually have voted to delay graduation to early August in the hope that restrictions will be somewhat lifted, and that we will be able to have an appropriately safe graduation. Obviously, we still don't know what that will look like right now, and we are definitely going to you know, continue to plan and to consult with our local health authorities, etc.
Well, I know a lot of schools are looking at similar models, so we're really we're keeping our fingers crossed, hoping it works out for all of you guys, because I know that 12th grade, like you said, that graduation really is an important milestone, and hopefully everybody will get to have it in some form or another. Looking back now, you know, we've been online now for, what, 2 months since before the Passover break. It's continuing to the end of the school year, at least. Is there anything that when you look back on that you would have done a little bit differently? Anything that you think could have been strengthened? Hopefully it'll never happen, but if we are in this situation again, anything that you would do differently the second time around?
I don't think I would do anything differently. I think to be honest with you, we did the best we could under the circumstances, and actually we got it pretty much right. I tell you what will be different in the future if unfortunately we have to return to a form of this. You know, if there's any, you know, some form of rolling close down, or we have to, you know, the building has to be reconfigured and we can't let everyone in at the same time. You know, either way, what we're noticing, and this is very encouraging, is that all of the teachers are saying they have learned something about their pedagogy. They've learned how to use new programs, how to engage students in different ways, using technology.
That's great. That's incredible.
And this is crucial because not only will these new skills be useful online, but they'll also be useful offline, because there's no reason why some of these new tools can be used in the form of blended education, blended classrooms, and it's really been, that's the silver lining. It's been very difficult. It's been very hard. It's been very isolating. It's been very stressful. But throughout this challenge, we've all picked up new skills and new ways of doing things, which frankly, we probably would not have picked up in the same way had we not been forced into the situation. You know, I'm encouraged by that.
It's funny, one of our other schools was telling me that the principal at the beginning of the year put out like a proficiency list that she wanted all of the teachers in the school to be able to meet by the end of the year. And the school spent a lot of time setting goals, individual, department-based. And at the end, because of what happened, that was also kind of, to use your expression, that was their silver lining, because all these bullet points and all of these goals, there was no choice other than, you know, they had to be filled, and the teachers in that school also really responded very positively, and everybody did what they needed to do. So, you know, there's a very similar sentiment out there, you know, with that you know, while we all wish this wouldn't have happened, of course, at the same time, maybe the one good thing that we can take from this is just the fact that from the educational standpoint, from the teacher standpoint, I think teachers everywhere are learning, like you said, these new skills, these new platforms, this new pedagogy that really will make a change in how we educate in the future. And that's something special, I think, you know. Any advice that you would give to, you know, to another school who was starting out on their online journey? You know, if another principal came to you and said, wow, you guys have been so successful, what should I do? How should I start? What would you tell them?
I think it's really important to be planful, to communicate both with faculty, to think carefully about what can work, and to really listen to each other. It was clear at the beginning that we were trying to do too much and that we were trying to cram too much in. Even initially, we cut down the school day. We realized that there was no way that we could be online with the kids from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m.
Right.
And I think that's really important to note what is practical and doable from student perspectives, but also from a faculty perspective. We, like many other schools, have a relatively young faculty. Many of our teachers have young kids at home, and we have to be understanding and respectful about how challenging it is to teach, prepare, grade, engage with our students, whilst at the same time having to be parents of their own children, and keep up with their own domestic responsibilities the whole time. I think that's very challenging. I mean, the whole world.
Good point.
And therefore, the notion that we should do too much and try to keep up with, all of our plans, all of our learning goals, I think that's unrealistic. I think we have to be understanding, we have to be collaborative, we have to listen, and then learning can continue. And that's what we found, being collaborative, being understanding, being thoughtful. We haven't just been treading water. Without a shadow of a doubt, our students have been learning Torah, have been gaining skills, have been moving forward. Is it at the same way or the same pace as they would have done at other times? I don't think so, but be that as it may. And the final thing I would just say is, both now and moving forward, we're all going to have to be very cognizant of the mental health implications of this whole process. Even if people are quote unquote coping now, it doesn't mean to say that there won't be some significant challenges as a result of this process. This is traumatic. This has been traumatic, and it will continue to be traumatic until we have a vaccine, until we can start to really feel safe that that we aren't going to be seriously endangering our health or the health of our parents, our teachers, our grandparents. This is going to be a very stressful time, and this might easily last for 18 months, 2 years. So I think schools have to be very cognizant of the impact this will have on the mental health of our students in particular, but also our faculty and families.
You bring up a really good point, because we don't always think in that perspective. Sometimes we get into that mindset of what does the academic picture look like, but we're not really thinking about the side effects, the after effects, and the whole picture. So thank you, Rabbi Bruce. That's a great that is some great advice for other schools and for all of us out there. Rabbi Jeremy Bruce, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. Rabbi Bruce is the high school principal at the Stark High School at Fuchs Mizrachi in Cleveland, Ohio. Rabbi Bruce, thank you so much for being with us today, and we really wish you and your students, your faculty, and your entire community the best of luck, continued good health, and we look forward to seeing everybody back into normal routines as soon as possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Great speaking to you.